So if you didn't know, the NBA has done it again. With this new national controversy, the NBA's players and teams have responded in suit. Across your social media feeds, you've more than likely seen Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum talking about the two Americas, LeBron James' Instagram post, Doc Rivers talking about if it was a black who raided Capitol Hill, it would have been an entirely different story. But the main thing that I want to talk about today is the Bucks and Pistons. For their first two possessions, they each took turns kneeling on the court for 7 seconds. This is a weird way to put it, but in memoriam of the Jacob Blake shooting. Both teams took their turns, and of course the Milwaukee Bucks were the insiders of it. Apparently they had been talking in the group text before, trying to figure out something else to do that wasn't as extensive as walking out of a game again. They went ahead and let Detroit know, and this is the thing that they came up with. Now, my question to you all, and to myself honestly, that I've been asking myself throughout this day is, was it necessary? By this point, the NBA has generated so much controversy and so much attention to social justice issues via action, most notably of which was in the bubble when the season threatened to shut down in the first round of the NBA playoffs, which was crazy enough as it was if you think about it. Of course, it started with Milwaukee sitting out the game and all that, and it was a big news story for the 3 days that they were postponed, which of course sent ripple effects to all the other sports leagues and by extension, the nation. But even with that, the question that I have is, did that really do anything? The games were postponed for 3 days. The NBA formed like a social justice coalition, something like that. The NBA owners, the billionaires, pledged $1 million a year to some social justice inequity fund or something like that. But what was the change that came out of those 3 days? It was an unprecedented day in sports history, but it felt like it was a lot of fodder. It was the ultimate performance that you could put on. You're stopping games and potentially the season in order to fight for what is right. But did it really work? Now, if you fast forward roughly 3 months, you have the Boston Celtics after the Capitol Hill raids questioning whether or not to play a game versus the Miami Heat. Brad Stevens, I believe, said up until 10 minutes before game time, they were thinking of not playing the game. Then, as you guys probably saw, they had the players kneel for the anthem and they put out a statement that said something along the lines of Black Lives Still Matter. Sure, these performative acts, they re-up the conversation, they put it back in everyone's heads again. But there's danger of it losing its potency as it continues to go on. If the Bucks and Pistons had kneeled roughly 3 years ago, it would have been all over the news and a huge sensation, a huge debacle. You'd have Donald Trump commenting on it. You'd have all of these sorts of crazy things happening. But now it doesn't feel as it is as powerful. Same thing for the statement that the Celtics put out. It doesn't do that much, if you get what I'm saying. Sure, there's definitely the point that it exposes a lot of people who normally wouldn't know anything about the Capitol Hill raids or how unjust it was. It helps the people who typically wouldn't be involved in politics at all to understand what happened and why it's unfair and all things like that. But is that something that they could have just covered in the interviews themselves? I can assure you the NBA isn't very happy about this internally. They've already been polarizing enough as it is and have lost a lot of viewers due to that. Financially, that's not necessarily what it wants. If the purpose of the kneeling and of the statements and of the threatening to leave the games was to spread awareness, would that goal not be as effectively achieved with simply the interviews? That's the question that I have when I see acts like this. There's always sort of the blanket awareness, the blanket term that they use. Oh, it's awareness. You're trying to raise awareness towards these injustices and things like that. But who are you trying to raise that at? Who are you trying to show that to? The people who are more politically inclined have already decided their side. If you have people supporting the Capitol Hill raids, if you do, by the way, let me know. I want to know why you think that. Like, for real, I'd like to know. But all that does is estrange them more from the product. And if you look more towards the people who are against it, then they already know why this is such a bad thing, because they've already deducted and thought about it for themselves, or have consumed media that have told them that it is something that is wrong already. So all the NBA does is provide that extra boost. So for those people in the middle, the people who aren't politically inclined, does kneeling do as much as simply saying in an interview like Doc Rivers? I feel like that was very impactful. Jaylen Brown, there's two Americas. LeBron James, to much a lesser extent, his Instagram post. Those are the things that I start to think about now. Well, from the player's perspective, I completely understand why they're doing it. They themselves feel like speaking just simply isn't enough. They have to do something. I believe Giannis actually said that the reason that they did it was because that's when everyone starts watching the game. I don't know who's watching a Bucks Pistons game, but you know. They felt like they couldn't just say something. They have to do something for people to really catch its attention. And for sure, it definitely did a lot more than just speaking about it. Seeing them kneel on the court was definitely an odd image for me, and I'd imagine for everyone else who watched it, either on Instagram or live or Twitter or anything else like that, felt some type of way about it, whether it be good, Whether it be confused, whether it be bad, any of those. And eliciting emotions, I feel, is the best thing that the players can do. That's sort of what sports essentially is. If you think about it, you watch sports to elicit emotion, and players, I suppose, are trying at extending that to matters that matter to them politically. Now, back to the first question that I asked, was this something that was necessary? No, I don't think so. I feel like there was enough media already out there that showed the unfairness of what it was, and there was already a medium for them to speak about it. And I don't feel like it was nearly as powerful as it was in times past. A precedented action historically has less impact than one that is unprecedented. So if this happens again, if there's another big event in American politics, another active performance where you kneel or forfeit the game or do whatever isn't going to hit nearly as hard. But I do feel like it does one major thing. It gives players leeway. They might take a path that leads them into some place unprecedented yet again. And then the cycle continues until they have real political power with just the things that they do as they play. Will that happen? Probably not. But the fact that the players have that option now is definitely something intriguing. Like I said before, was it necessary? No, it was not necessary. Did the players think it was necessary? Yes, I do believe so. Was it powerful? Not nearly as much as it was before. But could it open a gateway for bigger things to come? Yes, I think it might. Thanks for watching.
Well, off the opening tip, the teams both take a knee.